Hello everyone and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I don't like groove music. It shut down before the show, it's at 19% volume and blew my own eardrums out even though I just tested it before we started. So, let's just not use groove music from now on for the start of the show. Speaking of which, this week's show we're changing things up from what we said we'd be doing last week, and we won't go into too much detail why. I'll let you guys know once we actually do the introductions, but this week, it's 3 years of State of the Realm, and we have a tribute video to watch at the start of the show after we do the intro as well. We'll also be talking about what we think of 4.x so far, and we'll be quickly updating you on the server and housing situation, which had a very substantial update today, especially in regards to congested servers and personal housing. But anyway, I'm one of your hosts, Michael, Mr. Happy Pulverum. Of course, joining me is Slyh, aka Slythefox, aka Slyh, aka Greyfox, aka you, my boy Blue. How you doing?
Happy 3 years,
Happy 3 years. Slyh 3 years. Yay. See, I can say your name before 3 years also.
Doesn't fit.
I just wanted to immediately make you regret being here for 3 years with a bad pun. Did it work?
A little bit.
Little bit?
A little bit.
Right.
Not a lot.
Not a lot? Okay.
It'll get worse.
It'll
get worse over the show. I know.
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
All right, so before we
do have an idea.
I mean, you think. But anyway. So before we get started with the show, I know last week we said this week would be a spoiler cast, but without going into too much detail, FS had a personal emergency, so he couldn't make it. We put together a show real quick earlier today, mostly just talking about 4.x stuff. This was a show we were actually going to wait till after Eureka to do, and we may touch on it slightly again on the Eureka show itself. Wanted to wait until we saw one of the new features, and then we still got to see the never before seen and the next deep dungeon and a bunch of other stuff, but we'll be going over that today. I don't expect the show to go
and Blitzball.
It won't be an overlong show. If it had been spoiler cast, it would have been like a 2.5 hour show, so it won't be an overlong show like we may have anticipated originally. But anyway, Slyh, it's 3 years.
3 years.
I actually asked you if you wanted to say this till the end of the show. This is the kind of thing that almost feels like it belongs at the end of the show to me, Slyh.
If you want to save it for the end, we can save it.
No. We've already said we're doing it at the beginning. It's too late. We've committed to it.
All right. Let's commit.
We're committing.
Let's do it.
All right. So, one of our community members by the name of WolfPlz. If you watch the show live every week, you probably see in the chat that Wolf posts a meme of the show. Basically, usually it's Slyh and myself or maybe the other guests and our heads imposed on another situation that accurately describes the relationship we have with each other. I'd say that's a general theme. Sometimes it takes parts of the show and memes on them a little bit. But he made us a 3-year anniversary tribute because I didn't plan anything. So he's making up for my deficiencies here, Slyh. I guess yours too. You didn't do shit either, Slyh. Where's your 3-year tribute video? Why is everyone blaming me?
Because you're in charge of the production.
Yeah, you got
it's all on your side.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, you could have surprised me with it, Slyh. I would have been very endeared if you had surprised me with a good 3-year tribute video.
Last year I brought cake.
That's true, and that was good. I didn't bring cake last year, so you got me one up on that one. You got me one up. But Slyh and I in the chat agreed we would watch this at the top of the show before the show began. So, Slyh, what do you say we kick back and enjoy? I haven't watched. I watched like 20 seconds of it and said, let's wait till the show. I want to be surprised. So,
yep.
You ready, Slyh? Do you have it open on your end, ready to watch it?
Yes, I do. All
right, I'm going to mute my mic, and then I'm going to tell you when I'm pressing. I'm going to count down for you when I'm pressing play, and that way we can watch it like it's like we're in the same room. All right, so I'm going to switch over to the scene right here, and I'm going to mute my mic, and then I'm going to do a countdown for Slyh, and then we'll watch the video. So everyone enjoy WolfPlz's 3-year tribute to State of the Realm. AKA Milo575. What's going on, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me, guys. I'm really excited. It's gonna be a good one. Woo!
Just anticipating it.
That was what I was laughing.
Be that person to help and at the same time be independent as well. Again, Circle of Life.
But if you say Circle of Life, it is literally a whole new world. We're not gonna break out into singing unless
They should.
unless Slyh does it.
It's a whole new world.
See, it wasn't me this time.
I
was tempted so bad to do it.
I never use pots because it's illegal. Anyway, I'm glad you didn't respond to that joke.
For the next fan fest, maybe. It would take a.
You guys heard it here first. Slyh confirmed is going to be cosplaying at the next fan festival.
Don't confirm that for me. To mention, like, it seems stupid. There's nobody else on this game. And I made the joke, and it was a bad taste joke. I made the joke. It's okay. He's playing on Zodiark.
Delay on it. I felt like it added weight to what I was saying. Okay.
Thank you for having us. I don't know why you would want to have us.
I'm not.
If you've ever listened to Limit Break Radio, like, you would never think, like, oh yeah, let's have those guys come on our show and just derail everything.
Player versus player content.
All right, time to go mix steak. I'll be back.
Oh, fuck you.
Sorry.
He's outside, isn't he?
Yeah, he just pulled up.
You thought you were gonna get away with no one doing like the Slyh AKA thing, didn't you?
Yeah. No nicknames.
You really thought you were getting away with that?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh God, please. Okay, go ahead. Fine.
So we have our co-host with the co-host, Slyh, AKA Slip and Slide the Fox.
I get a new one.
AKA, as the Ishgardians would say, thou art my esquire.
No, what is happening?
Hey, girl. Happy just told me something, girl. There are other games other than Final Fantasy. I know.
And we lost that. I was waiting for it to happen.
No.
It's very merry.
Hello. Can we get an in-game parser that shows DPS to our side?
Number 2. You talked about Final Fantasy XIV moving into esports before. Any updates on that? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of State of the Realms.
Fucking weeb.
That fucking ending. Oh, and by the way, what we need to learn about the film crisis theory thing. I don't care. Leave me alone. I know all about Wix. Anyway, of course.
Can we get a standing ovation in chat for Wolf? That was fucking amazing.
You know, I went the whole time thinking, "Where's the fucking weeb joke? How did that not make it?"
I know.
I didn't, and then right at the end, I was like, "Oh, well." He said, "Wait till the very end." So I wonder. Oh, there it is. All right. So excuse me. That was made by Wolf. WolfPlz. Put that. By the way, 2 things: 1, you consume way too much of our content, and 2, you have a patience of a god to go through all the old episodes and find those moments. Those are not like in an hour and a half, 2 hour long shows, finding an 8-second clip to put in a 4-minute video is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
And oh, by the way, number 3, I've never known what it's like to watch yourself get fatter over 4 minutes. I watched.
Really,
you
don't see yourself on stream every day, and you don't notice. Like, it's easy for me to.
Yeah,
notice.
but it's one thing when you see it over 7 hours over 4 years is a lot different than seeing it over 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
The beard gradually.
Yeah, the beards gradually get bigger as well.
Yeah, well, that's to cover up the fat, but that's besides the point. That's right. But thank you, Wolf. That was a lovely tribute, and now I'm gonna watch it off the stream a bunch of times and be like, I need to go to the gym. That's what I'm gonna do off stream from now on. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's just gonna remind you to go to the gym. Just that video.
I mean, yeah. A 4-minute reminder.
It can be your alarm. Your 4-minute alarm clock. Get your ass to the gym.
Every morning, you have to set it for 4:30 a.m. and it needs to be that video because it's like, oh, I can't wake up for the gym. I'm so tired. And then you watch it, you're like, never mind, I'm good to go. Or, if I was more of a weeb, I could wake up at 4:30 and go get a fucking job, apparently. But that's about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, with that, that's not what the whole show is about. As much as I'd love to talk about that tribute and every moment in it for the next hour and a half instead of the thing we put together for today, that's what we're gonna do. All right, so Sly.
Yeah.
Show's topic today. We came up with it earlier today.
We did.
We're gonna talk about the housing update that happened today, the server update that happened today, and I guess we'll talk about 4.x and our retrospect of it so far, I guess. We need to make sure that the 3-year show is just, you turn it off and now you've seen the tribute. That's it. You don't need to watch the rest.
Yeah.
Right.
We came up with this today. Just giving you a fair warning again. We came up with this today.
And next week will be spoilercast.
There we go.
And then presumably the week after that is Final Fantasy I was gonna say Final Fantasy 15, that too. And presumably that week would be Eureka as well. So Sly. Housing's up first.
Yeah. People are happy.
No, and not everyone's happy. Sly.
Not everyone's happy. But people are happy. More happy than
it's the first time where a housing update's gone live and you've seen people be like, wow, I'm so yeah. So for those who don't know, personal housing opened up again today. So whatever houses were left that didn't get bought up by ghost-free companies, which plenty of them did, by the way. Even on Gilgamesh, there's a few wards I've seen of some guilds that are like, oh yeah, just one-person FCs just stretching apart. And we'll talk about that a little bit, too. Most people logged in the stream, and all I saw was people like, yeah, I got the small plot I was looking for. Yeah, the largest were gone, but I grabbed the small, I grabbed the medium, and I moved to a new location. It wasn't a problem, which they've been able to do for weeks. So I don't know why someone said they waited till today to do that. It's the least negative?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, a lot of people are settling for less than I expected. Not as bad as it seemed. Like if I were in this situation, if I were actually looking, I was like, hey, I wanted a large, but hey, I got a small. I would still be happy. Now, do you think that's tinged with the past experiences we've had with housing, where it's just, I'm just happy to fucking get a house?
For those who actually got a house, yes. There's even a thread over on Reddit where somebody got to tell this story. And if you had told me a month ago that somebody got a house under these circumstances, I would have said, well, they must be on Zolera. It's the only way.
The running joke.
It's the only way.
The joke we can't get away from. Holy crap.
It's the only way. Sly, when I tell you the story, it's the only way.
Okay.
All right. So the top upvoted comment in this Reddit thread that says, just want to say, the Reddit thread is just wanted to say congratulations to everyone who got their first home this morning. The top comment says, I feel really dumb. I planned to wake up at 4 a.m. when servers went up. By the way, 4 a.m., obviously, they don't live Pacific time. The servers came up at 2 a.m. Pacific. They said they slept right through their alarm, happily dreaming that they'd gotten up, got their house, and went back to sleep. They actually woke up later that morning, showered, got ready, and decided to check on their house that they had purchased in their sleep. They found out they didn't buy it, but they said, I'm still right where I was before maintenance, house unpurchased, 4 hours and 40 minutes late. Got the exact ward, the exact plot, got to buy it anyway.
Good story.
I still think it's Zalera, but that's besides the I still...
Now I just actually want to log into my Reddit and just ask, what server were you on?
I wonder, did anyone else ask? Because I don't think anyone asked. That would have been my first question. What server was it? Like, nobody asked that. But I've seen a lot of stories, not like that, but more positive stories. Not to be overshadowed by the douchebaggery that still happened in the 2 weeks that, the FC housing had priority for. I would call it douchebaggery.
Yeah,
if they did it after. If it was something that happened before the patch, then it's not going away. But if it happened after the patch when they initiated the FC, that's because then you're like, well, I've got 2 weeks to fuck with as many things as possible. So let me see how many I can fuck with, And all the larges are gone. So, you guys relocated when the actual patch came out recently, didn't you?
Yeah, we
okay.
did. Mal got on before.
And you don't have a personal house, do you?
No,
I
have an apartment that doesn't have anything.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure on that one. All right. Then there's a bunch of other ones that feel ridiculous waking up so early, but I got my first choice plot, even though I jumped the gun and bought another plot and then had to relocate. So they're just like, fuck it, I'm in front of something else, so I'll just grab this. And then they were like, I wonder if my plot's still open. And they went and got it. I can tell you right now, Sly, I ended the stream at 2 p.m. Pacific. There were still houses open on Gilgamesh. Most of them gone. But even Gilgamesh had some houses. We're not what we used to be, but I was still impressed that they weren't all gone. Hashtag Gilgamesh is dead. Hashtag you ruined us by locking us for so many months.
So, the elephant in the room, has this really solved the problem? No,
absolutely not. It has 100% done nothing to remedy any problems whatsoever. I'm not going to sit here and act like this was some God-sent decision that they made that completely and utterly fixed everything that could potentially be wrong with the situation. No.
Okay.
That would be ignorant.
Is it a decent Band-Aid?
It didn't. All they did was put more housing in. That's all they did. Honestly, you know why so many houses were probably available?
Okay.
People probably didn't even fucking know they were opening today. People were probably just like, oh shit, that opened? Oh, well, fuck me. It's too late now.
But again, we're not seeing as much outrage as we were before. I think it's a momentary gratification.
Yes.
Like you're saying, it doesn't really fix all the overlying issues, but it's something. And like it sounds so little. It's something, but it is something. And people do have houses now.
People have had houses. There's just more of. That's the thing. Ultimately, all that's changed is there are more houses. If anything, it works so that the free companies that wanted houses that were missing out on doing it because they couldn't buy one to get like submarines, and it got them, the people who probably had the most use for a house, it got them their houses. That's what it did successfully. But the overall housing situation still hasn't improved by all that much. All it is there's more houses, therefore more people have houses, therefore there's less people to complain in the first place. That's all it is. It's a numbers game. That's it.
So again, I've asked before, I'll ask again. When do you think we get our shit, the devs get their shit together and actually
I'm still of the opinion
the situation?
That, man, the biggest problem was just opening up the houses to personal in the first place. Like, if you had made it so houses were FC only and apartments were personal only, And that was it. Yeah, you would have had people saying, well, why can't I as an individual buy a fucking house? But when the expectation, when the expectation of what you can actually purchase is there, like, okay, this is designed for individuals, this is designed for FCs, then you can build more activities around the house that are FC correlated, and then you have the individual aspects that have their own things, and actually develop things like apartments to have things like gardening and stuff like they don't have right now. Then it's more focused, and I don't see that ever happening. Apparently the next thing on the list is them working on allowing you to upgrade your apartment to make it bigger, which is a nice thing. But it still doesn't, it's still not what they could still theoretically have a better living condition by having an actual house. And as long as that's there, then it doesn't matter what you do to apartments. It's, again, a Band-Aid that doesn't actually fix anything.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. I feel like the changes to apartments is unnecessary. Like, I understand some people want a bigger apartment. Like, it kind of looks like a studio. It is basically a studio apartment. And like, that's what I expect. I don't expect anything more out of it. Again, it's just going to be a place where I probably store mannequins whenever we get them. Yeah, I feel like they should really utilize the assets towards actual housing and making that a little bit more streamlined, better. You say it's never going to happen. I'm hopefully optimistic.
I'm just of the belief that for it to happen, they'd have to start over. And they can't take away what people already have. Like, even if they gave everyone the guild back, it wouldn't happen. That's it. It wouldn't happen. There's no easy way to do that. No easy way. So, as long as people are complaining less, I'm at least happy with that. But Band-Aids. You can keep putting Band-Aids on something, but that doesn't mean the wound is going to close. That takes actual treatment. That's all I'm saying, man. Because it's a gash. It's not a cut, it's a gash. You know what I'm saying?
It's that bad.
I mean, did you not see 4.1's outrage, man? If that's not a sign that something's a gash, then I don't know what is, man. I'd say I don't know. All right. So there's that. Congratulations to those who got a house. But something else happened today.
Oops.
Congested servers, all of them, were opened. That even includes Big Daddy Balmung.
Badass Balmung.
You call it badass, I call it Big Daddy because it sounds more like ERP. But anyway. I haven't heard too many things about it. All I heard was that character creation locked very quickly. And that means that you could still transfer onto the server, you just couldn't create a fresh character on the server. I don't know how that's going, but I'm very scared, and everyone's making bets how long it takes before it's gone again.
What's your bet?
I mean, I said the servers come up at 2 p.m. That 2:02 was probably about as long as it took. If I had said that for character creation, it would have been more close to accurate, but I don't think it's going to be long. I see way too many people. When Gilgamesh opened, people came back, but when Balmung opened, I saw so many people being like, I have to make a character on Balmung, or I'm transferring to Balmung. Like, I saw lots of conversation around it.
Can't wait to get the Lucky Boncho data again.
I also think that Chocobo over on Japan is probably going to close up again like Balmung at some point. I think Japan, it's less of a problem. They have less servers than we do, so technically, depending on the amount of players, there should be more congestion. But there's a very healthy community across a lot of the different servers from our perspective over in Japan, so it's possible. But
yeah, it's just mainly a North American problem.
Yeah. We'll see how it actually turns out. For all we know, maybe it just seems like it's worse than it is. Or more, I guess, it seems like more people are going there than it actually is. Maybe it's just all the loudest people are going, which would make sense for Balmung. Well, people are into moaning, so the louder you are on Balmung, probably the better.
You still have to go the ERP route, dude.
Don't act like I went there. That's when you have a reputation. You have a reputation.
It's not all they're known for.
They've before the server was locked, they had a very bustling PvP community as well. Worth mentioning.
See, there you go.
Worth mentioning. I don't know how that's doing nowadays. Because Astrologos ain't doing great nowadays, so unless they're back in Seal Rock, the best one, then I don't know. Shatter sucks, Slyh. Get over it.
You can go fuck yourself. Shatter's awful. Fucking day.
Shatter sucks. Anyway. I'm sticking to it.
Still better than Rival Wing.
I mean, it's not, but like, I can definitely do it. I can definitely put up with it more.
So again, better than Rival Wings. Let's not get into this conversation.
All right. I like this one, ERPVP for Balmung.
What would that entail? Please tell me. Whoever said that, please tell me what would that entail?
It's got to be a nude wrestling match, right?
Oh.
It's got to be a tournament, a nude wrestling tournament.
With Rose or Lalas? Or all of the above?
Who's counting? Who's checking? Everyone's invited.
This is a horrible imagery.
To be fair, in PvP, you don't need to wear gear, so technically, if everyone's just naked, it doesn't make a difference towards the actual, like, result.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, that's it. You got it. Slyh, I told you would want to, by the time we were done with this show, you'd wished you had left 3 years ago. I warned you.
Somehow, some way, we got to nude wrestling.
Well, we got to Balmung. That's not some way, somehow. That's Balmung. There's a direct line between the two. It's not like we had to go in circles to get there.
6 degrees of ERP.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
50 degrees of ERP. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. And then we have the rest of the show. The rest of the show is where we were like, okay, what do? We have housing, we have this, and then Wolf, thank God, gave us 10 minutes of a show with the tribute plus all the old. There's some great clips.
So we're 30 minutes through a show already. That's pretty good.
That's good.
And we got
I see you next week.
The rest of the show.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, see you next week.
All right.
All right. So let's go through sponsors and everything. Happy you bring up the.
That's it. We did it. All right.
Yeah, we did it, Reddit.
No, but we're gonna do a topic a little earlier than anticipated, and we're gonna talk about how Stormblood has gone so far. Because at this point, we're approaching Eureka, which is 4.25, and we're getting closer to the halfway point. 4.3 is probably more accurate to declare a halfway point.
Yeah, we're definitely past the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, we're definitely past the honeymoon phase where we can say, oh, this was really good when it launched, and, we like this, and the story of this was great, and, oh, maybe this could have been better, and there's no more honeymoon here. We log in and do what we do per day, and then we've formulated our, hey, I've been doing this for however many months opinions. Like, objectively, how do I feel about it at this point? So we're going to somewhat quickly, tackle the different topics of the game, how it's panned out, and I specifically want to compare it to Heavensward. Because this is the second expansion. They've had an entire expansion launch to look at things, see what went wrong, what was okay, what's gotten better, what's gotten worse, what have they learned, what haven't they learned, kind of deal. Fair?
Fair.
All right. Well, since we're not doing spoilercast, we'll start with 4.2 story. And we'll talk about the 4.x story, and 4.2 we'll leave out of it, is what I meant to say. So, we've had Stormblood, we dealt with, we had Xenosia Galvus as the villain, we went through that, we had Shinryu, we had 4.1, which we both kind of agreed. 4.2, while we won't say specifics, I've obviously done it, and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel Stormblood story matched up against Heavensward? Because they're two very different stories. Both of them are about war, but one's about a nation at war over a history that's been lied about for 1,000 years, pretty much. So the fault of man. Whereas this one's oppression. This one's a story of oppression, pretty much, and freedom from oppression.
I kind of feel like Heavensward tackled the story a little bit better. Even though we're nowhere near the end of Stormblood. We don't know how it's going to end. You know how I felt about the Heavensward story and how it kind of ended abrupt. But still, up to this point, I feel like Heavensward definitely handled the story better. Not in regards to the subject matter. It's just that how it kind of panned out, so to speak. And like you said, you were talking about two totally different types of war or sides of war. Disregarding that, still, I give a point to Heavensward in favor of Heavensward.
I'm having a hard time deciding. I felt that Heavensward, while it was focused, it rushed through things a little too much. There were topics that
I can agree with you there.
Went underappreciated in Heavensward. In Stormblood, they're taking the time to flesh out certain things, but it's going too slow. I feel like they've hit both ends of the spectrum, but I feel like going too fast wasn't as detrimental to Heavensward as going too slow is to the pace of Stormblood's story. Look at it this way. By the time 3.0 ended, just 3.0, we had defeated the Knights of the Round, Thornton. We had completely begun the overthrowing of, I guess, of a false government and a way of life that separated the people. And there was a story about, I guess, everyone having origins that were tainted, in a sense. Everyone had, that curse where they could become a dragon. I forget the exact name of what it was called. And there was a story being told there that while I wish I'd learned more without having to do stuff like Scholasticate, that I at least knew where it was going and how it was going to unfold.
But see, the difference is we're kind of dealing with two stories.
And I think that's why it feels like it's going so slow with Stormblood, is because we want to see both nations flourish and improve. But the way we have to do it is they have to be split. They allied for that moment, but they're not one and the same anymore. So we have to watch both of them unfold separately. So it feels like we can't really stop to enjoy Alamigo's liberation because we got to stop and go worry about Doma. And then we can't really worry too much about Doma's because we have to go back and worry about Alamigo. And I can't stay focused on either of them. Now, I'd also like to add, it's kind of not fair to judge the complete Heavensward story against the incomplete Stormblood story.
Right. I mean, we can only judge up to this point. And that's the mindset I have right now. That's when I'm like, 3.2 versus 4.2. And right now I still have to edge it out to Heavensward.
Heavensward 3.1 I didn't care for much. 4.1 is outside of everything else that happened. 4.1 is my actual favorite non-expansion story patch of all time. It felt the most. It pretty much took Heavensward's focus and applied it to what Stormblood lacked during the actual 4.0 story, and 4.2, which is honestly designed to be told over 2 patches, the way 4.2 is done. But then I look at 3.2 and how I felt after 3.2. I'm looking forward to 4.3 after 4.2 story, but what I knew how big things were gonna explode after 3.2 when you see the scene with Nidstinian, and you could only guess from that point. So it's a tough call. I think I got to give the point to Heavensward though. I think I'd rather have a more focused story that misses some details than a slow told story with the way our game is updated specifically. If we got a story patch every 2 months, I probably wouldn't mind as much. But we get story with every main patch, which is like every 14 to 15 weeks.
So in regards to the current story, would you be in favor of, well, they probably can't do it, but a larger story patch that includes both the Alamigan and Doman side, or would you like them to keep it the way it is?
I'm almost a fan. So you know how they're splitting up Hildebrand and putting that in the 0.5 patches now instead of putting it on the main patch.
I see what you're saying.
I almost wish the story was told more frequently than the major patches are released. Like I'm down with story being part of the major patches, but I'd give up like 30 minutes of story in a major patch to get 30 more minutes plus an extra story patch in between.
Fair point.
Especially with what they're trying to, specifically with Stormblood story, I think it lends itself to that. Heavensward, I don't think it would have needed that, even though it missed some details. It would have been nice, but looking back, I don't feel like it would have needed that. I feel like that would have benefited the way Stormblood is split between two nations a lot better. Personally, I don't know. It might just be me. So we're both giving the point to Heavensward there. But sorry. Also, I gotta say, Lys was a complete disappointment in Stormblood. I feel like that's a major aspect. By the time I was done with Heavensward, Alphino had grown to be a character people actually could listen to for more than 8 seconds. You had intense scenes with Hochefort and Iceheart, or Alice, or not Alice. Their names are so close. That's why I just call her Iceheart, especially because I've been playing Opera Omnia and she just came out.
Ysayle.
Ysayle, yeah. Alice Ysayle. I do it. That's why I just call her Iceheart.
Legs
would be the easiest. And of course the story of them traveling together despite with Estinian traveling together. Estinian, oddly enough, as little time as he has in Stormblood on the screen, he's every moment you're like
and everybody still wants more of Estinian, but even I think I remember the dev saying they just want to, kind of let him kind of fade, so to speak.
Well, he's doing his own thing. He's not the focus. He's doing his own thing until he really needs to step it up again. So, right. Yeah. I think Lys being a weak point was kind of disappointing after how much they built her up. They built her up really well in 3.4 and 3.5, but they didn't deliver on it as well once she was actually part of the freeing her own nation. She just didn't need to be a part of it in the end. She just was, kind of. So, 2 points to Heavensward. Start with that. Next, we have job changes. This is a tough one, Slyh.
Keyword, balance, which we never get.
Balance is one of the aspects, but also what was added and or taken away is another aspect to think about.
Okay. Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and give the point to Stormblood.
Jump it. Don't even want this. You're going to give the point before even explaining it. That's some confidence.
Yeah. I know you loved your monthly monk buffs in Heavensward.
No, because it was still shit by the end. And I didn't get to play it.
We go through so many job changes, every odd patch, not probably every patch, but major job changes every odd patch, I would say.
I'd say look at the core things, judge it based on what, even if a job gets changes, buffs, numbers, whatever, inner release, whatever, look at what the core concept of the job is and how well it's delivered on.
My job, we're fine. The changes they made were they weren't too taxing. They weren't too complex. They made it better. Oh shit. But in comparison to how it played mechanically in Heavensward, yeah, definitely better in Stormblood. 100%. And that's just not adding, eyes and Nastron and everything like that. It just feels, a lot of jobs feel way better than they did in Heavensward. Again, my personal opinion. But yeah, Stormblood, hands down.
I look at this as a major point of perspective because some people loved that Heavensward. If you weren't proficient on a job, it fucking showed. Right? If you didn't manage all those buffs that you had roll action plus whatever you had on your job plus whatever debuffs plus whatever 2-3 2-part rotations, whatever they added, Blood of the Dragon, stuff like that. Those all push the jobs to a higher degree of mastery for the most part. Right. Some people still enjoy that better. I am more along the lines that most jobs found their identity. Most.
Yeah.
Not all.
Most.
In 4.0. If I could name jobs that I feel, I guess maybe didn't, Dark Knight kind of still, as well as it can perform fine, it just doesn't feel like they had an idea.
It got lost in the shuffle to me.
They put it together in 3.0, and it still had issues. I'm not going to lie. I still had issues with Dark Knight and certain skills in their interactions with each other in 3.0, but the job felt identified then. I look at Dark Knight now, and I don't feel like it has an identity anymore. Even Paladin at its worst time had an identity. Unfortunately, that identity was a joke.
It was bad.
Yeah. It was like, hey, I block physical attacks. Oh, you all use magic? Well, fuck me. As soon as there was another option, right? It feels like it suffered from a bit. Other than that, a job I'd highlight for 4.0 was Bard. Bard, I think they nailed. Whether or not you miss the cast times is, I feel, completely independent of it being song focused now.
They nailed it currently, or
nailed it currently. They nailed it right.
Okay.
Honestly, they nailed Bard right out the gate from 4.0. From the moment I played it in the at the media tour, I was like, they nailed this. That's it. They straight up nailed. Like if you told me Bard was a DPS and then you put this in front of me without any sort of context of 2.0, I'd be like, all right, you fucking nailed it. It only looks better with all the changes Bard's been through over the years. And I can't help but feel like that is the job. Whoever sat down and did that job, put him on some of the other jobs. If it's the same guy, then if the same guy made Dark Knight or designed Dark Knight as Bard, which I doubt is the case, then that guy, I don't know, that guy had an off day, and we know which day it was. That's all there is to it. And yeah, I mean, White Mage Lilies are dumb, but other than that, like, for the most part,
it's in a good spot.
It doesn't change the fact that White Mage's identity was completely captured. They said they wanted it to feel like a pure healer, which, while DPS is still a big point, obviously didn't come to full fruition. You bring the White Mage because of how much they offer in terms of healing, so you can do the DPS when you need to do it.
It's fun.
Warrior, as chat's bringing up, Warrior went through an identity crisis that wasn't really a crisis, but more so a, hey, this is exactly what we want, and we've given you the things we want to give you to make that a reality, and it just wasn't right.
It was a short-term identity crisis, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It didn't last that long.
Yeah. And while as much as people don't like the inner release is super easy right now, they also really like direct critting 5 Felcleaves or 5 Decimates. Let's not kid ourselves. As soon as the patch went live, I didn't hear a single warrior complain, and I haven't since. So it's pretty sweet. The beast gauge just didn't get it right the first time. They got it. They got it. Okay. So
overall,
I'm giving it to Stormblood. I think they missed the mark on a few points, but that overall, it's in a better spot. And if you suck, it still shows. It really still shows. Slyh, it shows.
I mean, what was the terminology we used early on, like ceiling down or floor up?
It depends. Like with Dragoon, the idea was to bring the floor up with the changes to the positionals, whereas Stormblood's entire purpose was to bring this. I felt like was to bring the ceiling down. It was a mix of the two. To be honest, they just wanted the gap to be closer. How they did it wasn't exactly a logistic I ever really considered, but it's if you're bad, it still shows. Oh yeah. And then we also, this is a good one. We can bring this for the next point. I like what the chat brought up. Looking at the job editions of 5.0 versus the job editions of 4.0. I'm sorry, of 4.0 versus 3.0. I'm getting ahead of myself. We can't talk about, guys, I can't talk about Blue Mage and Dancer yet. We got to wait till they actually anyway.
Fuck you, Geomancer.
and Geomancer. Sorry, that's the third one. They'll never do 3 again. But anyway, 4.0 and 3.0. So that means we'd be comparing the implementation of Red Mage and Samurai versus the implementation of Dark Knight, Astro, and Machinist. And I specifically want to talk about the implementation, not the updates, not... Well, I mean, there's been no fucking updates to Red Mage and Samurai, so I guess there's been like 1 change, like 2 changes to Red Mage. That's fucking...
I mean, can we go ahead and give it to Heaven's War at that point then?
Man, I remember right when 3.0 launched, Sly. Everyone talked about how Dark Knight was the dumbest, shittiest job. And then Savage hit.
Delete Astro.
And then Savage hit, and everyone's like, wow, Dark Knight is the fucking greatest job that's ever existed. And then Machinist started off super shitty. Bard and Machinist both started off super shitty. So Machinist didn't have a great implementation. And Astro also had to undergo a lot of changes in terms of implementation. Oh, man. But, as much as we like to meme on Samurai, and Red Mage doesn't get the appreciation it did, despite being 2 DPS, the implementation of the jobs initially, I feel, was far improved.
I saw, the thing is, with Samurai, I already saw the flaws.
We all did. We were all worried about the same thing.
And it came to fruition. So I don't really think you can like kind of take away a point from that, from like both Red Mage and Samurai. Just take a point for Samurai, because we all knew, like, as good as it looked, as good as the numbers looked, it was just implemented so wrong.
See, I'm of the opinion that Samurai was remember, we're talking about implementation. We're not talking about the updates after. We need to talk about just
no. I'm not even. That's where I had my concerns was the initial implementation. Yeah, it looked great on paper. I mean, for that beginning, for 4.0, I'll agree with you. It looked great. Everybody wanted to drink the Kool-Aid except me. And I still haven't drank it.
For me, when Samurai was implemented, we looked at the numbers across all the physical DPS jobs and went, you know what? If Samurai stays that far ahead of the other jobs, I wouldn't mind. Like, everyone was saying, yes, it is so much more. It is fine. Then it's after the implementation where they lost the idea, where the identity just completely it didn't matter anymore because they needed to address
Monk
feedback.
is the new Samurai.
Pretty much. Yeah. Can a Samurai still raid? Absolutely. But when you don't, you
seriously believe that?
Of course I do. Listen, if every job beat Ultimate, I won't meme that hard on the job.
Okay.
That's
right.
That's
Fair
my
point.
If Samurai had gone an entire raid tier never being a part of an Ultimate clear, then I'd meme on it pretty hard. Especially if I saw them trying. And they never made it. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. So I think the implementation was fine. Here it is, enjoy it, play it, whatever. It was after that where Samurai lost everything. Red Mage, for me, is perfect. It's perfect when it's implemented. It's perfect where it is right now. It needs nothing. Nothing.
Got 1 out of 2.
When I look at Heaven's Word, I look at how much everyone shit on Dark Knight, even if it performed okay. And I did get buffs, I believe, before Savage came out. I don't remember precisely, but I feel like it did. I know Astro got something. Wasn't enough, but Astro, everyone complained about Astro. Everyone complained about Machinist, but that was a bigger problem with Gauss Barrel and Minuet than just Machinist, but Machinist also underwent some stuff. And Dark Knight, everyone literally couldn't stop talking about how it was the worst shit they've ever played in their life. I look at I look at the feedback, and I feel like I'm close to giving it to Stormblood, other than the fact that I just know how Samurai has panned out up till now, versus the way they were updated going before.
So, are you giving it to Stormblood? Can
I give one? Can I just give a half a point to each?
Half a point to each. That's fair. I think that's fair, and I agree with that. Like, both have pros, definitely, like, pros and cons within the same realm. But like you said, in terms of implementation, I kind of feel like at implementation again, Stormblood had it a little bit better than Heavensward.
Yeah, like chat says the best. Stormblood jobs were better on launch, and none of Heavensward's were good. And that's what I'm referring to, implementation.
Right.
If we were to do a separate thing based on job updating, right now I'd give job updating to Heavensward, because they, other than Paladin and Monk were problem childs the whole time, even though they kept buffing them.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, they never got the point. So it's kind of tough for me there, but even still, Samurai's identity was annihilated by the fact that they just kept buffing every other DPS. And that's unfortunate. Yes, patch 3.07 gave Blood Weapon 20% TP reduction. Yeah. So where are you going on that one?
Like points wise?
Which one gets the point for you on that one?
Well, now that you kind of bring that up, I'll go ahead and give the full point to Stormblood.
Okay.
Because like you said, everything was better at implementation, even though there was a glaring, like with Samurai, there was a glaring concern.
Yeah, big concern.
It still looked good, still played good at the beginning, but there was just a glaring concern that kind of came true.
Man, if we want to go really far back, we can throw Ninja in the conversation and talk about how that job's been OP for fucking ever, man. That job, they had to nerf it because the players were better than the devs. Like, I will never forget that. Oh, wow, the players are way better than us. We got to nerf this shit. I loved it. They're like, oh, they're going to Huton before the fight? Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, guys, we got to change this. Oh, man. Good times 2.4. Good times. All right. Okay, so we have jobs, we have job implementation, we have story. Now we have raid. I'm gonna skip right to raid instead of just dungeons, because whatever. Dungeons. Come on. Do I really have to have a conversation about those? Slyh, do you think we need to have a conversation about dungeons?
Not really.
I didn't think so. Dungeons are dungeons, man. They were Pharaoh Sirius was the high point, and it was downhill from there. All right, Pharaoh Sirius normal, to be more specific. Okay, so raids. Now we're not done with Omega yet, so again, we can only judge based on the first two tiers. But we have Gordius and Midas versus, and
I feel like this is even a non-issue and a non-question. Are we really gonna go there?
Gordius,
are we really gonna go there?
And Midas will only,
because I know what your answer is.
We won't, even though Creator is the most relatable to our current tier.
Yeah,
we are comparing Gordius and Midas to Deltascape and Sigmascape.
Apples and oranges.
I'm gonna say this: Midas. I still think Midas is the best. I love Midas.
Yeah.
For me as a player, I would never want a Gordius again, but I would love another Midas. And we also have to compare. We also have to remember there are certain key differences between the raid progress. I'd like to remind you that in Midas, we still didn't have cooldowns reset on death.
That is true.
Neither in Gordius. So we have to factor that in a little bit when thinking about comparing the raid tiers.
Even still, so much better. Nostalgia aside and everything, there's so much.
Midas also didn't have the Raid Finder yet. Raid Finder was Creator. Not that it has fucking done a thing, because no one used it after Creator. Everyone just used it to enter via the high-end duties now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really like Raid Finder. Right. Leaving that on. Not much you can say in regards. I mean, yes. I was even trying to give mechanics up to Stormblood, but I can't. I have to give it to Midas and Gordius. I'm gonna leave the world first race out of it and how fast it was cleared, because that's just another.
You literally can't compare. You literally can't compare a world race for raid tiers that don't have cooldown resets versus ones that do. You literally can't compare the two.
So we're gonna leave that out and just talk about like how it played, how the fights were planned. Midas Gordius, so much better. There's not much else you can say. If you experienced it, and right now people are still experiencing Sigmascape. And yes, Kefka is a good fight. It is a pretty fucking decent fight. But Brute Justice is so.
Brute Justice is the pinnacle of I am impressed with everything.
Of rating.
It makes me want to hate myself a lot of the times because of the mechanic vomit, but yeah. I have a tough time comparing these two, Sly. They're so different. Rating has changed so much since Gordius and Midas.
No, wait. Are we throwing in Ultimate with?
See, I considered that, but there's nothing to compare it
to.
Like, you can technically, I guess you would have to throw it. Like, the last thing you could really throw Ultimate
if we're talking about rating in general, then you're talking about all of raid. And
I guess that's true. And honestly, I think Stormblood needs Ultimate to really put a pain point on like Gordius and Midas had.
Right.
Okay. All right. This is tough. This is for me the toughest one. Because I have very mixed feelings on Gordius as someone who did World Proc on it. As someone who put in 2 weeks worth of my life, practically not streaming those 2 weeks to try and get A3 Savage down before we had weapons available. I then proceeded to want to put a metal spike through my forehead doing fucking A4 Savage for the next 4 weeks. Not 3 for me, 4 for me, because we didn't clear it on week 5. Midas, I didn't have a raid group going into Prague. I didn't clear it till less than a month before Creator came out. Deltascape, beat it in a week. Sigmascape beat it in 2 days. Ultimate didn't beat it till a month before Sigmascape came out, less than a month. I honestly don't even want to give it to a full expansion here. I kind of want to just give it to one individual raid, and that raid just happens to be Midas. I would any day you tell me, hey, what raid tier would you like to replicate again? I'd say Midas. Ultimate, I already know is there. That's not even a raid tier. That's a single encounter.
That's just a single encounter, which you could probably put over an entire raid tier. Like, it's just that, like, in any of the fights in a raid tier, it completely shits on. We all know that. But if we're talking about raid tiers in specific, I agree. Midas.
And I don't care about Raid Finder. I don't care. And one thing I will say about Midas is gear checks. I don't like gear walls. No matter how you look at it, I don't like gear walls. I just look at the mechanical aspect of the fight, and I imagine, like, nowadays, if that were released, its numbers would be brought down just so you didn't need 2 weeks worth of gear. We actually, in my stream the other day, I actually brought up a list of how long it took to clear each raid tier. We were having a discussion about the differences between then and now. And one of the big things, obviously, was the fact that we have cooldown resets now. How long did it take for Midas? I had a Reddit thread. Open that had... I don't think I know where it is anymore. I had a list of all the clear times a couple weeks ago. I just can't remember for the life of me how many days it took. It took a lot longer than people anticipated, I know. Midas was down in the 3rd week. I just don't remember exactly how many days. But I look at Midas and I think the week of weapons becoming available, you can tune that back a little bit, and then that's easily my most enjoyable raid tier. Heavensward gets a point just because Midas is located there. Like, that's how it is for me.
Now, do you want to include the inclusion of Crossworld as a part of this, or do you want to leave that for like
all that's done is make it easier to get a static?
Accessibility, excuse me.
Accessibility and pugging. When I think of like I've been in groups that have people from across servers where they're like statics and they're like, hey, we need a fill, and it's people from across servers, and it's like that's a great thing to be able to do, but that doesn't make you able to clear Midas any faster. Like if that was around for 3.2, if someone was really hardcore about raiding, people fucking transferred. Anyone who was going into those encounters, if they really needed a raid group, people fucking transferred. It's good you don't need to do that nowadays, but it's not. I'm not factoring it into how I feel about the raid tiers themselves.
Fair point.
So I look at the health of the raid scene, and I definitely prefer Stormblood. I look at my own personal enjoyment. I take Midas, just Midas, above all else.
So
I'm giving the point to Heavensward. If I had to go to Creator, will it have to wait? And we'll talk about that after 4.4 launches, but it's tough. I will say, though, Stormblood, though, Ultimate. So glad they did that. It's not a raid tier, but it is a hell of an encounter. So, giving it to Heavensward there. Next up is other features.
So, quality of life.
Yeah, well, I mean, the item wasn't exactly quality, and there definitely wasn't any life involved. It's technically a feature.
It's not a bug. It's a feature.
It existed. Midas had no bugs. Okay. So
I really feel like Heavensward is just knocking it out the park right now. When we really look at everything, and then you get to a topic like this. And,
okay, let's be fair. We can only talk about things that came out before 3.2. We can't include treasure maps, which didn't even. Aquapolis, which didn't happen.
Aquapolis.
We can't talk about Palace of the Dead yet. We can't talk about the things that happened after 3.2 yet. It's not fair. We got to keep it fair. So, what do we have to compare? We have
not shit.
We have Diadem.
Not shit. No, don't. That's why I said not shit. Happy.
How is Heavensward knocking it out of the park? So let's not even just look at that at Diadem and Lords of Romania. Okay, let's not just look at those. Okay.
Have to.
We don't have to. We need to look collectively at how the game evolved over the first 2 patches. Okay, we need to stop it. We need to look at how Heavensward evolved over 3.1 and 3.2 versus how Stormblood has evolved over 4.1 and 4.2. Is that fair?
Fair.
So with 3.0, obviously we had Gordius, we had Savage, destroyed the raid scene. Big problem. 3.1 came out, brought us Diadem and Lords of Verminion, and they were the features for some reason of the patch.
Stop using that word. Diadem. Stop.
Heavensward had a relic in 4.1 and 3.15. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm never going to stop screwing up. Heavensward had a relic in 3.15. It was a shitty one, but it existed. I feel like there's a lot of other quality of life changes in there that can't. Was Seal Rock 3.1? Seal Rock was like earlier than 3.1, I feel. When was Seal Rock? Seal Rock Final Fantasy 14. That's it. Seal Rock's my favorite. I don't know what patch it was. 3.05. It was before 3.1.
So good PvP.
The best PvP.
Shut your mouth.
The best.
Shut your
That's it.
mouth.
The best. Hey, I typed in Seal Rock FF14 and the third result is me. When you Google something and forget that you could be a search result. Why me? I mean, I loved it, but I still don't deserve to be third. All right. You also have to
love it so damn much.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it is. You also have Voidark versus Rabanaster. That's another thing. 24 mans. The implementation of Alliance Roulette and Stormblood. The lack of it back in Heavensward. You have to consider... I'm trying to think of when a lot of the features were. It's so many things. You have to consider Sephiroth and Thornton versus Shinryu and Byakko. You have to consider the Four Lords side story quest versus Scholastic, which I still haven't done. Not interested. Hildebrand thus far, another thing to consider. You also have to consider Ravana and Bismarck versus Susanoo and Lakshmi, which you can technically look at Stormblood and go, how do we compare these? But you can say they had to have picked something up in regards to Stormblood from back then. Four Lords versus the Triad in particular, but only the first patch of the Triad specifically for 3.2, 4.2. I'm trying to think of other things that it could be. Trying to think. 3.x was a long time ago, Sly.
Yes, it's a lot to think about.
And like a lot of big features. The thing about Heavensward is it continued a lot of features that A Realm Reborn implemented, like new treasure maps, new this, and Stormblood did the same thing. So it's hard to compare the two. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The Beast Tribes thus far is another one. Beast Tribes thus far is technically a consideration, I suppose. The music is a consideration. These are all features. Then you have to consider things like Perform, things like Duty Recorder, the saddlebag, the increased inventory space, swimming versus flying. Flying wins, by the way. But anyway, swimming's fucking stupid. It exists because
I like swimming.
It exists because I agree that swimming and flying, for me, swimming is more of an immersion thing than flying is. Like, I always feel like when you see a body of water and you just can't go in it, you feel so disconnected from the world. When you can't fly, you pretty much have to design a zone to make you feel disconnected if you can't fly, like Sea of Clouds or Churning Mists. But, it's so fucking useless. It's so fucking useless. I think I'm of the opinion that swimming is shit in every game. I've never played a game. I could play a fucking swimming game and complain that swimming is
swimming
shit.
Or just water levels in general.
Swimming. Water levels too, but swimming I hate swimming. You have to consider the zones that were available and the variety of the zones.
Size too.
The size is pretty comparable. But giggity. It's a lot to consider. No, there's no Blitzball!
Point in favor of Stormblood for Blitzball.
Doesn't have it yet. Shut your mouth and give me your fucking score.
I had to get the point to Storm. Based on everything you said, everything. Heavensward edges Stormblood out in a few areas, primarily.
So
Primals because
sorry, one comparison here: Uznair versus Aquapolis. I don't want to do that because we wouldn't have Uznair without Aquapolis. It's the only reason I'm excluding it.
Right.
First, it doesn't feel right. They would have never made Uznair if they didn't do Aquapolis first. It's the same feature, just a new zone. So,
Stormblood added a lot of features that were pretty useful, like that I felt we needed at the time. Primals, it's no contest, really. Byakko versus
Sephiroth. And Thornton versus Shinryu.
Well, I feel like that's a little bit closer.
No.
But, well, no.
Heavensward wins big time on that one, both of those. Kugane versus Ishgard.
First part of Shinryu, yes. I agree with you there. Kugane over Ishgard. Hell, we didn't even get a war or a new housing area in 3.0. So
that's true. That is a consideration. We had housing in 3.0, but we didn't have a new housing area.
We were expecting it, but we never got it.
Never got it.
And I guess there were lore reasons why we never got at me. Who wants to live in the hood?
Some people like maybe some people's home, man.
You want to get out. You don't want to live in the hood. You don't want to live in the struggle. That's
true.
In regards to housing really wasn't much of an issue, so we can't really. I mean, we talked about it earlier. Can we really add that into the equation?
Housing existed. Yes, housing existed.
It existed, but it's not. It's a totally separate issue.
It's still for me. It's not about the. Let's not talk about the number of houses. Let's talk about the fact that we got it.
No, not even the number of houses, but the fact that you add a new housing area, and there are more housing areas now than there were.
But I'm not talking about how many wards there are. I'm specifically talking about the implementation of a new area period versus the non-implementation. I don't remember when apartments were, but I can tell you right now that even if they were on the list, people would mostly vote on a new area over the apartments.
Right. Yeah, still gotta get a Stormblood.
This one's tough for me. I have so many mixed. It's specifically because we're talking about 3.1 and 3.2, where arguably Heavensward was at its. I'd say Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn was at its absolute worst, especially 3.1. That will, for me, always be the lowest point. I don't give a shit if it actually had a relic for me to do, when it was by and far the shittiest point in Final Fantasy XIV's post-remake history. And that is the only part I get to talk about. I think Thornton way better than Shinryu. I like Sephiroth. I've said it before. He's one of my favorites. 1,000,000 times better than Byakko. I'll get Heavensward has, at least I feel, more original and varied tracks of music, whereas Stormblood has been a lot of remasters of tracks that already existed. And those are some points that, for me, Heavensward really nails it.
Remasters are so good.
But I'd soak in.
I mean, are you just basing it on originality?
I'm basing it on the fact that when Soken gets to work, the man fucking works. And when you give the man some freedom, by God, do you make memories. That's all I'm saying.
What are you saying?
That's all I'm saying.
Go?
If you get, that's all I'm saying.
Where's your point?
That was the point.
Where's your point gonna go? Where's your point gonna go? Stormblood or Heavens? That's what I'm asking.
All I'm saying is, if you let the man go free, you get something way better than if you make him work on something that already existed. And thus far, that man has not been allowed to fully express himself. Byakko's theme is fire, and also Stormblood has some fantastic tracks. It's got my favorite boss, like dungeon boss track, which I never thought I'd like listening to a fucking boss theme in a dungeon of all places. But man, have they not given that man enough room to flex in Stormblood.
Who are you getting your point to?
I'm giving my point. So those are all things. I wasn't even done yet.
Okay.
When I think of Heavensward and I think of those things, I go, wow, that was great. There's a lot of originality. There's a lot of great memories that came out of that. But I just remember the state of the game and the state of playing the game. And it was shit. It was so bad. It was not good. You know how hard it was to force myself to log in if I needed something done? It was awful. That's why in Heavensward, I didn't finish leveling all my jobs to 60 until like
the end.
Like Bard was post 3.5 and it was the last one. Bard was my last one again this time, and I finished it less than a week ago. And it's also because of the way EXP curves work versus 50 to 60 versus 670. But I just had no motivation to even remotely try in Heavensward because of how fucking awful the first couple of patches were. Like, I was mega demotivated. And then I think of Stormblood, and I have a different problem. I think the quality of most things is higher. but I'm getting through it fast enough to the point where I don't need to be on as much, which is a problem I'd rather have over not wanting to log in at all.
Is that really a problem then at that point? It just sounds like you're just getting through the content, faster, and you're doing things a lot faster, which is not really a problem. That's just more of a personal.
I'm weighing those emotions more so than the features themselves. Perform, I've seen some fantastic things out of Perform. Duty Recorder needs work, but I've wanted that for a long time. Updates to PvP, well on their way, working, just not where they should be, because Seal Rock is still pretty much the highlight. And Feast's early implementation, which we can't include because we're talking about early Heavensward. I look at all these things and I go, man, I'm happy with these things in Stormblood. Whereas Heavensward, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Constantly. And it sucks not having Eureka yet. It sucks not having the next deep dungeon yet for this comparison. But if I were to go on emotion alone when playing the game, just at this point, before 3.25 and before 4.25, I'm going with Stormblood.
Yep. Here we go.
I'm going with it. I don't need Eureka to make this decision because you know what it's going up against? Diadem. And you know what?
So
it's automatically better than Diadem because it actually has a fucking reward structure. That was Diadem's biggest problem, was reward structure and the gameplay mixed in. It was the fucking same thing we've been doing for years, just with garbage rewards. The zones in Heavensward, I'm mixed. I don't like Stormblood zones that much. I don't like Ruby Sea. I don't like how the peaks and the fringes and the locks are all too identical, despite technically being in the same part of the world and it making sense. I do wish there was a bit more variety. The landmarks are roughly the same. I think Heavensward and zone variety probably wins out, but I fucking hated exploring Heavensward zones. I'll give you that at the very least. I don't dislike Stormblood zones, exploring them. I fucking hate going back to Heavensward zones with a.
Well, I hated exploring the locks when I first got there.
That was hilarious, at least. Now imagine that, but all the time with the way that ether currents were done in Heavensward. Mm-hmm. We're talking about early ether currents versus Stormblood early ether currents. Only the locks pissed me off.
Yeah. Fringes too.
Then you got the jump puzzle.
Go fuck.
The jump puzzles. Plural. I like Heavensward zones and their variety more, but Stormblood zones are so much more tolerable for me. When I go back to a Stormblood zone, I'm like, great, I know how to get around, I know where to find things. It's not a clusterfuck of unnecessary verticality. And then I go back to Sea of Clouds, and I'm like, I'm leaving. Because this place fucking sucks. And I go to the Turning Mist, and I'm like, this place fucking sucks. And I go to the Dravanian Forelands, I'm like, get these trees the fuck out of my way. And I go to Korthus Western, I'm like, great, it's Korthus Central, but shittier. And bigger and shittier, and I can fly, so it's less frustrating. You know? Azaslaw, still a favorite personally, but I fucking hate flying to the other side every time. Because it's got the Vesper Bay problem. Where the Aetheryte's on one side, and where everyone else wants to be is on the fucking other.
Just get taxied.
Somebody shut your goddamn car alarm off.
So the points that we gave were for the first one was, I forgot. Did raid, which we kind of put in favor of Heavens. Just did like all the other, which we kind of put in favor of Storm. Story, we gave, I think we both gave to, is it still going? Yeah, it's still, okay. Story I gave to Heavensward. You gave to Storm.
Yes. No. I gave Story to Heavensward.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. No, I gave Story to Heavensward. I said I'd rather have short and missing details than taking too long to make a point.
So, okay. So, Story, Heavensward. Raid.
Raid, I picked Midas in particular, which by default means I'm giving it to Heavensward.
Heavensward.
It's just Midas. It's literally not even, I don't even really care to compare them collectively. I just like Midas best.
All the other things, Stormblood. So by that logic.
No, there was one other topic. You missed one.
Which one? Damn it.
Jobs.
Jobs, Stormblood. We're pretty much even.
I think Ix in the chat put it the best with the way the even works out.
Uh-huh.
By the way, I gave 0.5 to each, so technically Heavensward wins for job balance. I didn't give 1 point to Stormblood. I gave 0.5.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Ix put it the best. I think the game is technically better now.
Mm-hmm.
But he says stories and world, but certain aspects definitely felt better in Heavensward. It's weird. Looking at them objectively, I give Heavensward a lot of credit, but I can't deny that everything about the game, not everything, but most facets of the game are improved now. Some of them
improved more so than they were.
And keep in mind, some of that you have to give credit to Heavensward too. We just can't use the latter half because a lot of the better changes did happen. If we were talking about Heavensward's second half, which we can't compare because we don't have a second half to Stormblood yet, a lot of great things happened down the line that led to certain things that are good here. Like I said, one reason I don't talk about Uznair is because Aquapolis was a late 3.x addition. Palace of the Dead we can't talk about because the next deep dungeon hasn't hit yet, so we don't have a comparison point. We can't talk about Diadem versus Eureka. We can only talk about Diadem.
Yes, we can.
No, we can't. We haven't played it yet. Reward
bullshit.
You know what?
It's going to be better.
Fuck you. Yeah. Okay. Then I'm giving my point to Eureka then, because at least it'll have a real reward structure, unlike the Diadem where they were just like, well, fuck it. Here's pink shit that has random stats.
Even though some were like broken as fuck. But yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. That's it. What was new in Heavensward? Diadem and Lords of Forbidden. But the good stuff came later. It's unfortunate, and I think we need to say that Stormblood has a lot to owe to the back half of Heaven. The back half of Heavensward has a lot to owe to the front half, and Stormblood has a lot to owe to the second half of Heavensward. Because a lot of the shit that got better in Stormblood came from shit that happened at the latter half of Heavensward. It's a gradual climb. You know what I mean? That's just how an MMO works. But man, a lot of people just will go to one default thing, Sly. Having a relic weapon in 4.15 versus not having a relic weapon until 4.25 with Eureka. And man, did I fucking hate the relic in 4.15. So I don't feel too strongly about that. It definitely gave me more to do, but by God, was 800 Alexanders not that thing I was looking to do. I'm sorry, it was like 672 if you didn't do other things like hunts and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because I remember I just remember 3.15. Oh, this relic weapon's so stupid. It's so grindy. You're just making me do the same thing over and over again. They didn't learn anything from 3.x. I wish from 2.x. I wish it would take longer. I wish they would take longer and make it more unique. Hey, we're gonna take longer and make it more unique with Eureka. It's gonna be this, and it's gonna have this system, and you're gonna be able to collect stones and hunt notorious monsters. Do this. That's fucking stupid. I wanted it earlier. Kill me. Kill me.
All in all, there are pros and cons, and like you said, it's hard to compare with a lot of good features coming in at the latter part of Heavensward, and then a lot of features at the beginning, Stormblood. So, I'm not content. I'm happy with where the game is now, and I look forward to it only growing in future patches. Just not content, just happy.
No, I'm happy.
It'll get better. It'll definitely get better with time.
You're Sly. I'm happy. You got it wrong.
Well, that's this week's show, everybody.
Not until I say this. Not until I say it's over, Sly.
Okay. Won't say that's over.
It's almost over. Almost. Not yet, though, Sly.
Why?
Because I need to do the sponsor list.
Yeah.
And then we need to do our outros individually. And then
Thanks for, plotting out how the show goes, Happy. Thank you so much.
And then we need to
do a post show.
No, then we need to say that spoilercast will be next week. And then don't forget that the week of March 6th, if Eureka's that week, we're not doing the show till Friday. Reminder. And then the show after that will be Arizivia. And we need to go over all this at the end of the show. After we're done with the show. Because we're not done yet.
All right.
All right, so thanks for joining us, everyone, this week. So before we do anything, let's go to our sponsor list. Now, let's see. I have it right here. All right, so we have first up, we have Slyh. What do you don't scratch your face? No, hold on. This is good. So first up, we have our Patron of Light. Sorry, I don't have the Jesus voice like Mary does, or the God voice, whatever. Oh, they both apparently sound the same. Who the fuck knows? They're father and son, whatever. So Patron of Light, Khuja Cross, last week had a screenshot. This week has a different one with it's a lot of carbuncles. That's a lot of some hedges and some carbuncles. Is that the Valentine's Day place, or is that something in the housing area? We didn't even talk about the fucking Valentine's Day event. My God. At least they did something. At least they did something unique for it. But Slyh, we can't end the show till we talk about the Valentine's Day. There you go. Yeah. So thank you to our Patron of Light for definitely wanting to smite down #demonetized. I think because of the guitar in Wolf's song, I think we were demonetized as soon as the show started. I think the music,
pretty much.
The music will probably do it. I don't know how YouTube handles that shit when it's used for montages and whatnot. Who the hell knows? Thank you, Khuja Cross, for being our Patron of Light. We also have the rest of our sponsors now. Just so anyone knows, if your name's not on the list, or and you qualify for it, or you're a sponsor and you haven't given me a name, then be sure to send me a message after the show, or even type it in the chat, and I'll be sure to throw it in there as soon as it's done. I synced the list, so if for some reason it's off, I'm going to be really pissed, because I went out of my way to sync them and not just let them update automatically. So for the love of God, please be right. We have our standard sponsors of Kifca and the Grey Eagles on Exodus. We have Dark Graver, Cat Ioshi from Khuja, Skia Symphonia from Ragnarok, Rah Xephon from Exodus, Rylanator, Westaur, the Purple Warrior, Eadric Redsteele on Exodus, Lexxie Valentine, Mantaru the Rivivus FC from Zodiark, Sour Cream and Chives from Jenova, Rynoet Chikara, Goetia Valefar of Siren, Hersh Fersh of Faerie, Phoenix Down FC on Goblin, and Serren from Zodiark. Now, let me make sure. I'm going to double check the list because I'm getting sick of the list not being synced. Yes. Okay. It says that this is correct, so I'm going to let it go. Then we have our premium sponsors. We have our elite sponsors. We have Azkin Hawk from Shiba. We have Serenity FC on Ultros. We have Kat Kazuma. We have Kiryoshi and the Reckless Tea Party on Cactar. We have Ignis Fairgun from Diablos, Valestra of Fanfrit, Noct Cordis from Excalibur, Krovos Moonscar, Nakanayame of Balmung, Johnny Owen of Tonberry, Private Mikey, Spike, Rudy Rudiger, Nadine Kirasame, Tin Colossus, Killer Hackman, Rawl Jr., Arthur Ramil Gaming Bishop, and Kill Tastic Jones.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So that's one of the things I said we had to do before I ended the show, Slyh. Now we have to do the thing where we explain.
You realize I know how the show works.
But you were trying to say the show is over. So it's not. We're almost done, though.
We're wrapping up. So that means the show.
Giggity. Anyway. All right. So, Slyh, where can they find you at, good sir?
You can find me on twitch.tv/Slyakagreyfox. You can find me on Twitter at Slythefox. You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/thevelvetroom. You can find me on Instagram at Slyakagreyfox07. Yeah, those are the places. Nothing new going on. Starting to do 3DS streams. So Persona Q on Sundays. Thinking about doing some tonight. Take me. We will still have anime. Hey. And Happy, where can they find you at? Happy? Are you going to introduce yourself, or will not introduce yourself? Say where they can find you instead of just combing your beard.
I'm getting this thing shaved off on Thursday. I'm just trying to enjoy it. Anyway, you can find me, Mr. Happy. Google it. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram. I have a cat, and that's pretty much, I post more pictures of him than me on my own Instagram. So one thing you could be on the lookout for, I've been playing Opera Omnia lately. It's a mobile game with Dissidia. So it's a bunch of different Final Fantasy characters, turn-based combat. I've been putting some sponsored content for that over on my YouTube channel. I've been doing some sponsored streams. So if you're into that and you have any questions, throw me the question, because I literally, you don't know how close I came to auto battling with it right here. It's literally been sitting in front of me this whole time, and I haven't been auto battling to go through farming EXP for certain characters, and you don't know how hard that has been for me. Anyway, that's going to be it for me for the time being. Sly. So next week will be spoilercast, which I'm really excited for this spoilercast, because we get to talk about things to come, and we have a lot more answers now. And I still haven't done the story on my main character because I watched Ethis do it. I literally, you want to know what's even worse than that? I'm leveling an alt right now that's already has Bard at 70. It just has Bard at 70, and I'm leveling Monk on it. So as my 70 Bard, I went and did up to the 4.2 story until I unlocked Hell's Lid, and then stopped doing it again. I now have 2 characters with Yagiri with the little meteor thing above her head, just like, hello? Hello? You're going to continue the story now? Hello? It's 2 times. All right. So that's where I'm at. And
at least Ethis did it. Yay.
At least I watched him do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it before the show next week. I promise.
I would hope so.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't do it before today, and today was gonna be the show. So you say you hope so, but if you think about it, the hope was already gone.
We were going to be fucked either way. Thanks.
No, I knew exactly what happened. I just didn't do it on my own characters. There's a difference. I watched Ethis do it, and I watched Ethis discuss it, so I already know what his thoughts are. I'm just saying, Sly. Give me grief for something I actually already did. I'm just saying.
What else do we have coming up?
We have probably Eureka the week after that, which would mean a Friday show. So on the week of, if it launches the week of March 6th, the show will not be till the 9th. And then after that would be airs, it'd be like 4 days later. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right, let's move on over into post-show. Thank you again, Wolf, for that 3-year tribute. I'll include, as long as it's okay with him, I'll include a link to it in the description of the YouTube video. And if you're here in the chat, I can always just throw it in the chat for you if you didn't get to see it at the top of the show. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you next week. And until then, take care.
See you next week.